Fitness is one of the things all of us should take a little more seriously, I think. Uh, I still work out even though I'm getting up in years, but it's one of those things that makes you feel so much better. And I think becoming a habit is one of the things that you really need to do. We're going to talk to Tyler Martin about that. He has been an exercise uh, guru for a long time and has a new book called The Friction Factor. Tyler, good to have you with us today on the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, you started many years. Did you start as a kid exercising, or did that come later in life?
Yeah, I say that I got my informal education early. I was a competitive level wrestler all through high school and also at the collegiate level, and then coached for several years. And so this is where I kind of learned the basic nuts and bolts of exercising. And if you know anything about the sport of wrestling, we have to make weight. So nutrition is a big part of the sport as well. So that's where I got my introduction into all this stuff. And then things changed quite a bit when I stopped being an athlete and became a normal working person. And we can maybe get into that a little bit more, but that's when the whole obsession, I would say, with forming habits really became a thing for me.
Yeah, that's really one of the things that you emphasize is it has to become a habit, and that's people start off sometimes at the beginning of the year with great intentions, with uh, resolutions, that type of thing, and
Mhm.
I think they try to do too much too fast, don't they? In a lot of cases.
Absolutely. So it's funny if you look at any study that's done on why people fail to adhere to a workout regimen or a diet plan, almost without fail, the top two reasons in no particular order for why people say they can't be consistent over time is some form of lack of time, lack of energy, or some derivative of that. And so what it really boils down to is, as you said, people tend to overcommit. So what I really recommend to people is, in the beginning, you should be much more focused on being consistent. So look at the context of your busy life and say, what's going to be repeatable for me, day over day, year over year, hopefully decade after decade. Because if you can be honest with yourself about what you're willing to do in the beginning, you can always build on your commitment. It's better to start out with a 5-minute daily workout that you can stick to than saying, I'm going to go to the gym and work out for 2 hours every day in January, because 80% of those millions of people that sign up for gym memberships every January, they're not going anymore by March. And that's, I think, indicative of what you're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, start, and after 5 minutes, you feel great, and you're not going to get worn out after 2 hours. My gosh, 2 hours of workout's too much for just about anybody unless you're in shape, I think. So,
Yeah, and the style of exercise that I recommend, which I should say, the type of exercise that is appropriate for an individual person really depends on your goals. So, what are you trying to achieve? And my all of my work is focused on people who live busy lifestyles. So, they've got families, they work a full time job, or they maybe run a business, and they're not marathon runners. They're not competitive athletes. They want to get the amount of exercise that's necessary to keep their body working appropriately, and that they're happy with their weight and the way they look, the things that most people want to get out of fitness. And it really doesn't take as much time on a day-to-day basis as people really think. There's a tendency for people to think that, oh, I have to spend hours and hours every day in order to have the physique and the weight and the level of fitness that I'm really after. And it's really more about just being consistent over time. I personally haven't worked out for more than 20 minutes a day for 8 years. So it's much more about doing the right things consistently.
and what are the types of exercise you should do? It should be specialized to you, shouldn't they? I mean, I see people in the gym sometimes that are doing these things that I know are wrong, and
Mhm.
I think it's going to hurt them more than help them in some cases.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there's a lot of variety out there, but at a fundamental level, I mean, the human body, for everybody, I mean, we're all taller and wider, or we've got different genetic variations, but we're all running on the same basic software, right? So we all have the same bones, and they all function the same way in muscle structure. There's variations, but we're all basically the same kind of thing. And so there's fundamental types of movements that we all really need to be doing in order to work the right bits and pieces. So when it comes to just basic health and fitness, if you're trying to get the most bang for your buck out of your time, what I recommend to people is I teach them how to build a program that includes both strength training and cardio, because you do need both for general health and fitness, but in a way that combines those two types of exercise into one individual workout session, because traditionally they're done separately, which really makes things take longer. And that's hard to do if you live a busy lifestyle. So, what I advocate is sometimes known as interval or circuit training, where you're combining short bouts of strength training and cardio into the same workout. And that allows you to get the benefits of both, but it actually cuts the total amount of time that you need to spend exercising every week roughly in half.
Yeah, and you're doing different things each day, right? It isn't the
Correct.
same routine, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So I generally teach people to design a 3 workout series that they do over the course of 3 days. So each day you're doing 2 different strength training exercises, then one form of cardio. So over a 3 day period, you work every major muscle group in your body, and you're doing different things each day. So you're not overtraining individual muscle groups. And so if you continue on with that pattern of, because I don't have off days in my program, it's you go work out 1, 2, 3, and then you start over again. So that allows you in a very short 20-minute workout that you can do at home over the course of a week. You work every major muscle group in your body 2 to 3 times. And that's exactly what the CDC recommendation is for exercise for adults of all ages. And it also helps you meet the cardio recommendation set by the CDC and the American Heart Association.
And that brings up another question. What kind of equipment do you need at home?
Yeah, there's a lot of variety here. So it really depends on what you're willing to commit to. How bought into this are you, but also what kind of living situation do you have, and what are you comfortable doing. So the good news is, I was talking about how we're all kind of running on the same software. We all have the same basic muscles and bones and ligaments, and so it's really about the type of motions that you're doing, and there are lots of ways to exercise, in those motions, but with different types of equipment. So you may be in a place fitness wise where it's just body weight exercises to start. But as you progress, it may make sense to move on to other things. But there's no necessity to buy machines and expensive equipment if if you don't have the space for that or you're not interested. You can really get everything that you need, regardless of how fit you are, with a cheap set of rubber resistance bands that you can buy on the internet. In fact, that's what I throw in my suitcase when I travel, and I'm able to keep up with my workout even when I'm on the road.
Now, what are these again? Say that again,
So
please.
so rubber, like resistance bands. So it's
Oh,
think about
right.
like a
Yes.
rubber
Okay.
band, yeah, but just bigger, and you get a set of them, right? So you've got one that's 5 pounds of resistance and 10 pounds, and they go all the way up to hundreds of pounds. So I'm a big fan of resistance bands, especially for people that have very limited space. If you don't have room in a basement or a garage for things like free weights, I mean, basically, if you have a floor and a set of bands that you can get on the internet, you're able to do what you need to do for general health and fitness.
Well, very good. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are happy to hear that because I think they kind of get turned off thinking they need to get these $1,500, $2,000 machines that are
Exactly.
advertised. So, yeah. Well, Tyler, thanks for talking to us. Again, the book is called The Friction Factor, and I want to give your website as well, which is frictionfactorfitness.com. And Tyler, again, thanks for the visit.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.